Hey everyone, two quick reminders before we start this next episode. We're still accepting applications for the Black Student Success Scholarship until April 30th.
And our fundraiser for our new online community to connect Black students and professionals ends this Friday, April 16th.
So if you want to donate to the cause or apply to the scholarship, both links are in the description.
Okay, let's get into the podcast. Enjoy, everyone.
What's going on, everybody? Thanks for joining us for another episode of the Black Student Success Podcast, where we bring you insight and guidance from successful Black professionals. My name is Selvin, and of course, we appreciate all of your support. So today we've got Leron Gray on the show. He is an industrial engineer. He's got about 6 years of experience within the field. So he's going to talk about what his journey looked like, some of the things that he goes through on a day-to-day basis, and just other aspects of his career. So Leron, thanks for joining. How you doing, man?
I'm doing well. How about yourself?
I'm good. Thanks for joining today. So we're going to start off how we always do by asking, who is Leron Gray?
All right. Who is Leron Gray? I think that may be the hardest question. It's always so hard to talk about yourself, but who am I? I am a young man that is striving for excellence. With that, what I mean by excellence is everything that I consider myself to be a part of. I always want the best. So as you say, I'm an industrial engineer, but what people may not know about me is I'm very involved in the youth. So at this moment, I am a basketball coach, coach traveling basketball from the ages of 5th through 10th grade. And with that being said, with the coaches, also we have a program where we kind of have a big brother program. That we kind of talk to the athletes and talk about other stuff that's not related to basketball, but that can help them out in life. But yeah, man, Leron Gray, I love to have fun. I'm a funny guy, laid back. Man, this like I said, that's probably about the hardest question, but that's about it, man. I'm just a cool, laid back dude that just, like I said, enjoys life and tries my best to excel.
There you go. Appreciate that. So let's take it all the way back to kind of, when you were a kid. What was your childhood like? What was it like growing up and, all the way up to the point where you did go to school? What was all that like for you?
Yeah. So growing up, I grew up in Evanston, Illinois, suburb of Chicago. But yeah, growing up from a 2-parent household, I'm a middle child. I have an older brother, younger sister. I kind of got the best of both worlds being the middle child. We have like a broad age gap. So I was the youngest, so I got to see my older brother and how he moved around and things that he partake in and, kind of, mimic off some of the things and kind of, go my own route. But then I also was an older brother in the household. So I had a younger sister that kind of looked up to me as well. So, it's that taught me a lot about being the older brother and the younger brother, just seeing some of the things that you have to deal with in the household. But yeah, Evanston, stayed there pretty much all my life until I went to college. But grew up playing basketball, other sports, being very athletic. Went to Evanston Township. I know you went to Evanston Township as well. But, one of the things that I started doing at Evanston is I became a camp counselor. So I think that kind of sparked me giving back to the youth, being a camp counselor, just having fun. It's normal, everybody kind of went to a camp sometime in their life, but just working with different age groups. And then with that being said, I went to Eastern Michigan and I was in like another program that was, we went to like YMCAs or recreational centers and we talked to youth about college and our experiences being freshmen and things like that. And after Eastern Michigan, I came back home, went to community college. And then after that year, I went to NIU. And at NIU is where playing basketball recreationally, I started to get involved in coaching. So that's kind of what sparked that coaching drive is, person that loves basketball, why not coach? Something that, being involved with the youth, teaching what I know, things like that. But I think Evanston, growing up at Evanston, as I, got older in life, I'm very appreciative because one thing that Epson provided me that I don't think a lot of other people got provided is diversity. You see that a lot in college, and Emerson provides a diverse group, especially in high school with other ethnicities. Is when you get to college, you know how to deal with other ethnicities as far as how to talk to them, how to respect their types of living habits, things that they do. Um, I think that's one thing that I appreciate in Evanston, that you really don't understand until you move away from Evanston. So, but yeah, that's pretty much how I grew up. Just you encounter a lot of things in Evanston. I always say it's two sides of Evanston that people may not understand as well. But like I said, now I appreciate living in Chicago and just seeing other school systems or going to other school systems is like you appreciate Evanston where you grew up.
Yeah. I think one of the good points you made is having that appreciation after you get to a certain point, right? So, you mentioned the whole camp counselor thing, and, you could probably think back before you were the camp counselor when you were one of those kids in the camps and you weren't really kind of thinking of, how pivotal those, camp counselors
Right.
could be, being in that position, being somebody that, you can look up to. And then you get into the position where you're now that camp counselor, you're just making sure that the kids are, interacting with each other, right. And, but still having fun at the same time, being able to give back in that way, even, obviously you're getting a check for it, but,
Right.
you still have that opportunity to be someone who's influential,
Right.
to them. And you obviously carry that on, going into college, being a coach now. So, it's good when you can find that, within growing up and being able to kind of take that forward.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely. So now once you got to school, now you mentioned a few schools that you've attended. Where you started getting into industrial engineering, and what made you decide on that major?
Man, we're gonna have to go back a little bit.
Okay, yeah, let's do it.
So it started in a fifth grade play. It sounds so funny, but in fifth grade we had a play and they had like different what do you want to do in the play? And then I think I just signed up on a whim of I want to be like be a part of the lighting design or something like that. So with that being said, we had light bulbs and we had to learn how to make a little small circuit board. So just a battery, a strip wire, and a light bulb, and we glued it to the wood, and that was kind of our lighting. So from there, I knew I wanted to do something, something with electricity, and I wanted to do something hands-on. So I always had that kind of like back in my mind, and going out, middle school, high school, when I got to college, you always decide like, hey, you take your gen eds and what do you want to do? So I kind of already knew that I just wanted to kind of work with, be like electrician or some sort of work electricity. So I always kind of had that somewhere in my mind. So that's kind of like what sparked it, I would say, fifth grade. But with that being said, like I said, I want to be an electrician. So my college career is a fun one. And I tell this story now because I'm proud to tell this story. But at first, it was kind of, it's humility. You have to be all right with it. So it took me 6 years to graduate from college, and at the time, 4 years, you see your friends graduate, they post so Facebook, Instagram. You know what I'm saying? You like, man, it took me 6 years, but it took me 6 years because I transferred twice, to out of state, Eastern Michigan. I went to College of Lake County, that ended up at NIU. And with that transferring, from Eastern Michigan, my credits didn't transfer over, so that kind of held me back. And then at NIU, I went to NIU for a semester. Then I lived in the dorms where they were too expensive. I couldn't get financial aid, so I had to kind of, I won't say drop out, but I stopped going for a semester because I had to pay for that following semester. So with that being said, it was a lot of points where I could have went the opposite way, of not continue school. But, one thing that I like to look at is, I don't know where I heard this quote, but it was like, somebody had the same situation you had and they won with it. So from there, it's like, when I'm going through my trials and tribulations, stop complaining and put my head down and work. So as I got back to NIU after I paid off, I was in like a computer lab of some sort, and I was like, man, looking at what classes I should pick, because I had to repeat some classes because they ain't transferred over. And I met a gentleman there. He just stopped, like, hey, what you doing? And I'm like, I'm picking my classes. I was like, I want to be an electrical engineer. And he was like, why? And I was like, I just like work on my hands. And he was like, what do you think about industrial engineering? And I was like, industrial engineering, what's that? And he was like, well, and he showed me NIU kind of course list and everything that encounters industrial engineering. Is so many things from green technologies to mechanical to chemical. Like, it's a broad genre or a broad field that you can go into. So that's kind of where, kind of coming back to NIU, going to industrial engineering, that's kind of where I started. So from there, picked industrial engineering, and my emphasis, or I'll say my minor, is in health and safety. So that's kind of dealing with OSHA, EPA, just dealing with manufacturing sites or construction sites, and just making sure they apply by the OSHA standards and regulations.
Okay. Yeah. As far as industrial engineering, because it sounds like you, or maybe even a lot of students don't even hear about that. Like, your initial inspiration was just specifically about the electric side, so you think, electrical engineering, that's the route that I need to go in. And to know that there's another side of that, or another side of engineering that does encompass a lot more other things. Like, you still get the technology side of it, and then it sounds like it translates over into other industries. Like you said, yours is kind of in the health sector, and so all the technologies that are in regards to health. Now you're in a position to make that kind of work for a company or an organization or a business or something along those lines. What's maybe one thing that you can highlight about industrial engineering that that other students might not even know about, because it encompasses, more than one aspect of that.
Right. Like I said, you usually hear about like the big ones, like manufacturing, electrical, maybe like computer engineering. But one thing that industrial, like I said, it kind of deals with the industry and the processes. So like civil engineering, like all that kind of encompasses the industrial environment. So one thing I would say is just, like I said, research, as you go into your field and picking your emphasis or minor, I think is what they call it, or major, whichever, just doing the research and see like what jobs are associated with that career. So I think, again, I just knew about the big ones, but once I ran into a gentleman, he told me about it, I started doing research, and it was like, wow, just knowing everything that this field has and where you can go, it just gives you more opportunity and makes you, like I said, diversifying your portfolio as a student. Because when you get in that real world, you want to have that degree and be able to go to different jobs and not just one job or one field.
Yeah. And you felt like you weren't boxed into a particular industry with having the backing of an industrial engineer. Right. Nice. Okay. And then one thing that you pointed out was in regards to kind of your transferring. Now, what would you say is one reason as to why you came back home, from Michigan? And, if there's something that you could change, maybe it was the research, before you went to college or whatever the case is, what do you think you would change in that regard, if you would change anything?
I wouldn't change anything, because that me coming back home it made me grow up, going out of state, being away from my parents. It was no way that I can just come home on the weekends. Like you see when you go become a freshman, you see a lot of kids come home on the weekends and they don't get that true college feeling. So, me kind of being out there on my own, I had some people out that went to Eastern Michigan as well with me, but me being out there on my own, I couldn't just come home every weekend and, kick it with the friends. I kind of had to make my own friends or learn a lot it made me learn a lot about myself, when you meet new people, you try to join crowds, and I learned how to stay true to myself. These group of guys are cool, but I really wasn't into what they were into or did the same stuff they did too. So I wouldn't change anything. But okay, what? But yeah, one thing that I did learn about going to Eastern Michigan, the transfer process again, is doing research. Like, I didn't know that, certain classes wouldn't transfer to this school, or, start doing research as a transfer student. Maybe I would have went somewhere else to accept the classes. So one thing I had to do was that when I was at NIU is I had to contact my previous professors for all the classes I took at Eastern Michigan, and I had to get their syllabus. And when I got their syllabus, I had to take it to my academic advisor and be like, hey, this is what I did in speech class, or this is what English 101, this is what we learned. And then they gave me the yay or nay of, yes, we can accept this transfer credit. So again, when you're out of state and you want to come home, just do some research. And again, going out of state, I was the first person in my family to go away to college. So, you don't know what you don't know. So the out of state tuition is like, you see that number and you get financial aid and you're good. But I didn't know about private loans. I didn't know about parent loans. Like, I knew what a loan was, but I didn't know the process of interest and all that stuff. So it's like, now that I learned that from coming home, I knew when I go to NIU, I'm not taking on a private loan. I'm going to get a job on campus and work, or I'm not taking out a parent loan because, that's going to affect my parents, and they on a whole different payment plan than I would be for the government assistance. So that's one thing I would say as you go off way to college and you're thinking about coming home or transferring, is just make sure you do your research and know what school you want to transfer to. If you decide to transfer, is they accept these credits. And if they don't accept these credits, what you probably can do is just show them your syllabus to see if they accept them. So that was kind of my career of transferring from Eastern Michigan to College of Lake County. And College of Lake County was a school that I just wanted to kind of still, be involved in school. I know I had Oakton next to Evanston, but they didn't have my major at the time. So that's kind of why I was living in Evanston. I was traveling to Grays Lake every day, an hour, maybe hour and 15. But that's one of the things that, like I said, you can't complain. You put your head down and do the work. It is what it is. So that's kind of what I had to do to get to NIU.
Yeah. And it's funny when you think about some of those, maybe mishaps or, quote unquote mistakes that you made along the way. If you didn't have those, you wouldn't have had that guy stop you and ask you why you wanted to be in electrical engineering. So, and then lead you to, the life that you're living now. So it's always good to look at those opportunities as learning experiences.
And one thing I appreciate, I'm sorry to cut you off.
Yeah.
Like I said, I tell my story is, if I was ashamed to tell my story of, transferring to colleges or not having the financial means to stay at Eastern Michigan, or, going to NIU and, going there for a semester and not going back. Like, I met some people that were pivotal in me continuing to go to NIU, because they were that person in my head to say, go back to school. Like, you hear that a lot, like, go back to school, finish school. But why I say it was pivotal, because at the time, when I was home working 2 jobs, it was, at a young guy making some decent money, 2 jobs, pulling in all that cash flow. It was like, I'm good. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But I was thinking short term, like, this is the money that's in my face. I'm good, living at home, saving. But going back to school, again, it gave me an opportunity. And the best thing that I think college taught me is networking.
Mm.
Like, I don't think people know how pivotal networking is. When I say networking, it's not just knowing somebody that's in your career, but it's learning how to talk and meet people in different industries, because you never know where you end up in life. So going to NIU, learning how to network and be around other people, and seeing what other people are doing kind of instill different habits in me that to this day in my career that I do. So networking is vital to anything you do, not just career, but anything you do in life. Networking is vital. Just meeting people, talking to people, learning how to talk. Growing up in different areas, people dialect is different. People may not talk the same way, which is fine. But as long as you're confident in talking to people, I think that's all that matters.
Yeah. You never know where somebody's going to be positioned in your life years later. We worked as camp counselors, some odd years ago, and now here we are. So you never know. Keep those bridges intact, and the power of social media, to keep everybody connected even after so much time, and after we've kind of gone or through our lives, doing what we're doing. So that's dope to hear. So thanks for that testament, to sticking with things and kind of learning from all those experiences.
Of course.
So now let's kind of talk about, your career journey. So once you got into the point, you got your degree, you took all the things that you've learned, not only within the class, but outside the class as well. How did you apply that to actually looking for your first job and kind of staying with that?
Yeah. So, looking for my first job, I was blessed enough to get an internship my last semester in college. I think the internship was like in insurance. So it was like going to different universities and offering them insurance and things like that. But with that being said, after I graduated, I think it's more common now, but I got hit up by a recruiter on LinkedIn. So they offered me an opportunity to go to a job, and that's where I got my first job, is off a recruitment service. Industrial engineering, as an industrial engineering, I was a manufacturing engineer. That's where I started off. So I worked for a medical device company as a manufacturing engineer. And my goal there was to look at the processes of how to build different medical devices and seek where we can do improvement. So that was looking at takt times, or I should say cycle times, to make product faster. Look at the value and non-value added times. It was also looking at the processes to see where we could save the company money. So that's kind of the things that I focused on, and new projects as well, dealing with customers and how to, make their product as well and validate their product so they can be compliant with FDA. So that's kind of where I started my career as a manufacturing engineer, working with it was a small company. So it was a lot of co-workers that were, started there as well. So they didn't have a lot of experience. So it was a good company to grow in. As I worked there for about 4 years, I transferred to another medical device company, because I would say, being young, don't get comfortable. You get a good job, don't get comfortable. Always try to seek growth. So that's why I transfer, not just for more money, but growth. I think that's the biggest thing, is when we're young, we get comfortable with certain things. And I don't think that's a good thing. You always want to seek growth, or try to do better, or seek different opportunities. So now I'm currently a quality engineer. So if people don't know, when you're in the manufacturing is the team that builds the product, and quality is the team that inspects the product and makes sure everything going out the door is perfect. So when it gets to a customer, they can do what they need to do. And working in the medical device industry, building different medical devices, they're using these in hospitals and other facilities. So again, you want to make sure everything is operational and that it works on the patient. So where I'm at now is in quality. Again, I make sure that everything is compliant, that we're giving the best service and the best product out to the customers. And again, just upholding everything that production is doing to a certain standard.
Yeah, it sounds like efficiency is kind of like the overarching theme of kind of the work that you do, no matter what part of the stage you're in, whether you're on the
Right.
manufacturing side or you're actually inspecting what has been put together.
Right.
How early did you put your, create your LinkedIn account? Because you said that you were recruited through
Right.
LinkedIn. How soon did you put that together?
I learned about LinkedIn at school. So I was part of this program called BMI, Black Male Initiative. And what they taught, so the basic the basic scenario that grew is as a Black man to provide excellence. So one thing is like every Monday we had to wear a suit and tie, and we had to change the narrative of a Black man. So we were on campus, slacks if you didn't have a suit and tie, but every Monday we have our meetings, but we're dressed up to change the narrative that a Black man does look good in suits. But as a BMI, and they teach us about college and networking and different careers and community service. They somebody came in and talked about LinkedIn. They were saying that, hey, they advise every student to get on LinkedIn and just build your resume, no matter if you don't have any experience. And that's basically what I did. I put a professional picture on LinkedIn. I kind of put my experience I had of, working with watches, camp counselor, everything like that. But when I put my internship on there and I graduated from NIU, somebody reached out to me. It was like, hey, this company is looking for new engineers so they can kind of mold you, so they can kind of train you of how they want you to work in their environment and be successful. So that's kind of where it started. Is at school, somebody came in, a speaker. I can't remember the gentleman's name, but he said LinkedIn. I kind of hopped on it because, why not? If somebody's taking their time to tell you something, don't just take heed to it. Don't just let it go in one ear and out the other. Try to do it. Like I said, to build a professional resume and seek different opportunities.
Yeah, and I know that LinkedIn is definitely a lot more well known at this point, and just kind of with how crazy the job market can get. There are students who are kind of setting these things up as early as they can,
Right.
It was a good point that you made in regards to the account, just kind of setting it up and. Even if you didn't have, whatever experience, you're still kind of putting yourself out there to, again, set yourself up for that next step. So it was really good that you pointed that out. And not being complacent, with the position that you have, because you can always have a higher ceiling. There's always room for growth. There's room for improvement. And, the more well-rounded you are, the more opportunities that you can get. You probably were probably one of the top candidates before getting into the position that you're in now, because you have the experience of actually working through that whole manufacturing side to be able to speak to the quality side of the work that you do. So it's always good to kind of build on the experience that you have, which it sounds like you have done and currently are doing.
Yeah, like I said, all about growth. So even though I'm a quality engineer now, I'm still trying to get different certifications and, do different trainings, outsourcing them. If it's not within a company, kind of paying on my own, because it's going to pay off in the long run.
Absolutely. So now moving on to, so sticking with engineering, but just kind of focusing on are people within engineering. And you may see, and you probably see this in your own experience of not seeing as many Black, people within engineering. What do you think contributes to that? And maybe, if you know of any efforts to increase the number of, Black people within engineering, or just even Black students pursuing engineering, what do you think would help with that gap?
That's a good question. I think what contributes to that is a lot of Black or minorities don't know about the fields that engineering could take you to. So, like I said, when you say engineering, you just, you know, a lot of people don't even know what engineering is. So when you hear it again, you think about electrical, mechanical, and things like that. But it's a broad field that you can go into. So I think one is people like you, me, or whoever that's in a giving back service, displays these jobs or these careers and educates the Black youth or the minority youth on what they can do with engineering. Because where I'm at now, I don't see I don't see a lot of Black engineers, male or female. And again, it's just, people don't know about the field. And if they do know about the field, is what can they do with it? What should they do with it? A lot of people get a degree and then, they don't even go they don't even work in the path that their degree is in. So I think it's just getting out there, trying to advertise engineering, kind of talking to the youth about it, or, things like yourself as podcasts. To be honest with you, I was kind of looking at a couple of your podcasts and, the people with certain job titles. I was like, oh man, I've never heard that job title before. Yeah. So it's just more about education. And like I said, no matter if it's through podcasts or talking about it or things like that, it's education. I think that's the main thing.
Yeah.
A lot of minority youth don't know about it.
Yeah, and you're in a good position just being a coach and having access to more youth than your average professional, and being able to when you have those moments where you're not talking about basketball, you can bring up careers. I'm sure that you and the other folks that you work with have the opportunity to do that.
Yep.
and really talk. Hey, have you thought about this? Have you thought about engineering? Have you thought about specifically industrial engineering? What's that? And, I'm sure when you can kind of put it in terms that they would understand, or something that's something practical, like, I'm sure, Jordans is a hot thing. It's always a hot thing anywhere you go. Right. So if you're able to put that aspect, into engineering, and they can actually really, grasp onto that. But yeah, I'm sure that, that's really nice for you to be able to, share that field and share that experience with the kids that you're working with.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So, what's your definition of success? I think the point of really kind of getting your idea of it is because there's more than one way to look at success. You can look at it in terms of money. You can look at it in terms of how big your house is, things like that. But I know there's also intangibles that that could be attributed to success, like work-life balance, and still being able to have time for coaching and things like that. But what would you say is your definition of success?
I think you hit the head on the nail. Is success can mean different things to different people, and as you get older in age or get more wisdom, I should say, success changes. Your definition of success changes as well. So one thing to me right now, as far as being successful, is having that work-life balance. It's being able to provide for my family and also be home to have that social skills with my family and not spread myself too thin. So I feel like right now that I am successful where I'm at now. But again, that just because I feel like I'm successful doesn't mean that I'm going to stop raising the bar. You may ask me next year, what does it mean to be successful? And I'll probably say, I'm not there yet. I got to do this. I got to do that. Yeah. So, but yeah, to me is having that work-life balance to, one, be in your career or vocation or job, and to say that you're pivotal into what you're doing and you're enjoying it. You're not just doing it to collect the paycheck, but you're enjoying something that you do. Also being able to provide for yourself or your family. And like I said, having that other side where you can have a hobby that you're doing, or And that hobby could turn into a potential cash flow, or just something that you're doing on the side that makes you happy as well. So I think, again, to reiterate, having a good job, career, vocation that you're happy with, having that work life balance, and having a hobby or another hustle that you enjoy.
Yeah, there you go. Keeping yourself busy. So I appreciate you highlighting all those points. Now, if you were to take all the experiences that you had, growing up, going to college, going through your career, all the ups and downs that entail that, what advice would you give to your childhood self?
What advice? I think what I would tell my childhood self, I couldn't even get it out, is I feel like at a young age I was constantly worrying about the next part of my life. As I hit 16, I'm worried about 18. As I hit 18, when I'm doing about 21, and worrying about the next part of life, I wasn't realizing like I'm where I'm supposed to be at. So I'm robbing myself of that happiness. So what I tell my child self is like, be happy what you're doing and be confident that in life that you'll be on the right path. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think I robbed myself, or I stressed myself out earlier, is because I was always thinking about the next step and I wasn't truly happy what I was doing. And that could be a good and a bad thing. But now that I look back, it was like, man, if I would have put a little more effort in doing this or a little more effort in doing that, I could have did 10 times better, So that's one thing as you grow old and, you got those people that are thinkers and they always, thinking about the next step. Just be careful that you're not robbing yourself of the happiness, because you're right where you're supposed to be in life.
There you go. Yeah. Again, kind of getting at that balance of, forward thinking, but still enjoying the now and appreciating all the things that you have access to at that point. So right. Very dope to point that out. So now just a few more questions just for the audience to, learn a little bit more about you. Just a few fun questions here. So first, we're going to start off with, what do you think is the, a rite of passage that you think all college students should go through? There's always a joke of, all college students are broke and they got to work through that. What would you say, even from your experience, is like a rite of passage?
I would say a rite of passage is, as a college student, you gotta learn how to cook on your own. You can't. They talk about the freshman 15, but you gotta learn how to cook your own. If you're in college, 4 years, you gotta be able to learn how to cook, because you can't just be living off the ramen noodles, all day. But you gotta learn how to cook when you're in college. Because that's going to make, give you a healthy lifestyle. Also, I think the right passage in college is, I don't know, I would say you got to have that hustling mentality as well. You got to appreciate that going to college, you got there. A lot of people don't get there. So you got to appreciate that. And then you got to have that hustle mentality, is to not just get it in school on the grades, but, keep yourself healthy and just continue to do what you got to do to stay in college. Because, I can guarantee you, once you're in college, it's not easy. The easy part is getting there. The hard part is graduating. So you got to have that hustle mentality.
There you go. Now, when it comes to, if you were to look at all of these foods and you had to give up one of these for life, which one would it be? Would it be potatoes, bread, rice, or pasta?
Can't give up French fries, so keeping potatoes. Bread, I grew up on bread, peanut butter sandwiches, syrup sandwiches, turkey sandwiches, so can't give up bread. Rice or pasta, I'm gonna have to give up pasta, because to this day, I don't eat a lot of pasta. I might eat spaghetti or go to a restaurant, but I don't eat a lot of pasta. I can get that up.
Okay. Even the mac and cheese?
Yeah, I give up the mac and cheese.
Yeah, okay.
Hey, to be honest with you, I don't eat a lot of cheese. Lactose intolerant. So
well, that makes it easy for you.
That's my excuse of giving up mac and cheese. So
There you
everybody who
go.
love mac and cheese, I don't eat a lot of dairy. So.
Right, for medical reasons. There you go. And then finally, if you were to create a super group of 3 music artists, who would be in that group and why?
Okay. 3 artists. See now, and here's me thinking too much, but I'm gonna have to zero in, because when you say artists, you know, gospel, you got R&B, you got hip hop. So I'm gonna have to zero in on living artists.
Mm-hmm.
I'm zeroing on living artists.
Okay.
But I'm gonna have to throw and I'm picking my group that will work well together.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not picking like they're the best ever. It's not a group that work well together. So
yeah.
I'm going off Chris Brown.
Okay.
Diverse. You got a diverse portfolio. I'm going off Drake because, you know, I don't even need to say too much about Drake. And then
Drake.
I'm gonna throw somebody that can spit, and it's a lot of artists that can spit, but that work well with those two that can have bangers, a group. I'm gonna have to throw Future in there. Now that's a group that could work well. I'm not saying they the best at what they do, but that group versus another group, they gonna compete with the best of them.
Yeah, you as you know, the A&R, you are making millions just off of that.
Hey, that's how I'm trying to get my group. I'm not trying to, you know, you gotta be the best spitter. But if y'all ain't working well together, people gonna, you know, they ain't gonna listen to your YouTube channel.
Exactly, and it's funny because you could pick 2 of them and they probably already worked together, and they've already probably, you know, Drake and Future had that one album that it did its numbers. Chris Brown and Drake, they've done at least a few songs, so you got yourself. You don't even have to do any more engineering. You got it right there.
Yep, I'm very versatile and you can't really see his poster behind me, but I got this poster from one of my college friends. But that poster is a guy, you know, with his headphones on, and then all those writings is like lyrics. So it's the best lyrics from the 1990s until current. You know, just lyrics that kind of represent life and ambition and goals. So you got from Jay-Z to Common. You got, you know, some Jill Scott on there. Like it's a dope art piece. But I mean, when I look at that, you know, every day it's just like that's me. I got my headphones on and I got the music to kind of motivate me or inspire me or whatever music does to you. And then, you know, that's kind of just my backbone of, getting my daily thoughts out on my daily activity.
That's what's up, man. I'm gonna have to get the info on that art. I definitely want to see that a little clearer. That's what's up, man.
Yeah, definitely. I definitely send it to you.
Appreciate it. Well, Leron, that's all I got for you, man. I thank you for your time and sharing your story and your experience. Any last words that you have for our audience, or if anybody wants to reach out to you if they have any further questions?
You can find me on LinkedIn, Leron Gray, if you want to reach out to me on a professional level. On LinkedIn, you'll have my email as well to reach out to me on professional level, because I'm assuming that's where your audience is to learn about professional skills. But one thing I want to just leave with people that's just watching your channel and just kind of like some life advice, I should say, is I heard this quote. It was like, the steps you take don't have to be big. They just have to be in the right direction. And that quote means a lot to me, is because, like I said, when you're, trying to reach your goals, take the baby steps. Don't forget about the baby steps. People forget about, the time and the grind that goes into getting certain goals. So just take the baby steps and just make sure you're in the right direction. So I like to say I appreciate you of having me on this podcast because I'm excited to see what you're doing with it. Like I said, I was watching a couple earlier before the interview, and when you first reached out to me, I'm like, this is dope. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is dope. Just seeing how everybody is kind of talking about their career paths and their life experiences. Like, I bet you, I can look at every interview and I could take one thing out of every interview and apply it to my life. So this is dope, man. Keep doing what you're doing.
Hey, well, we appreciate the support, man. I do thank you for that. So again, thanks for your time. Thanks to everybody who's been watching or listening. Be sure to follow us on social media. We're on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. And we have our website, inquirehire.com. We've got a lot of great information there, just regarding careers, student success, everything that you can, attach onto to help kind of put you, like Leron said, in the right direction. So again, thank you. And until next time, peace.
All right. Appreciate you.